Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm continuing from my previous video about my thoughts about the art community because I had more to say. I just didn't have enough drawing at that time in order to continue with what I wanted to say. So what I ended up doing was that with that previous drawing, I ended up doing like a base color pretty much. So just kind of putting down some real basic colors. So in this video, you're gonna see me shading it in and kind of adding more details to the actual drawing. So hopefully you enjoy that while I go on my little rant. Then I'm gonna go on, and hopefully it's not really a rant. Hopefully I'm just more commentating and kind of giving my insight on it. But there was one comment that on the video, my previous video, if you want to go watch it, that somebody left, and I'll try to put a screenshot of it up on the screen. But it says, in my opinion, on the art community, I just think people can't just effing leave people alone. I mean, yes, I know people's art looks a little different, but it doesn't mean to bash them and to trash them. I've seen many videos about the art community and its problems, and I just think there needs to be people who can step up and say, I don't really care about what you say. I think the art is great. But seriously, art is basically anything you want it to be, and not just an AI or judgmental a-hole telling you. It has been rough for some art creators, and I just think there needs to be a change. And I agree with that. So I kind of replied just saying, I agree. Art can be whatever people want it to be. People are out here trying to gatekeep art, and when art is in its very nature is freedom to express yourself. And I um I wish more of the art community was uplifting each other instead of trying to tear each other down and trying to, I guess this isn't in the comment, but just trying to expose each other for AI art and all this other stuff, exposing people for copying somebody else's style and so many other things, unfortunately, that plague, not just our community, just all communities, but I'm specifically talking about the art community in this particular video. But yeah, so I just want to kind of expand on kind of what my thoughts are and kind of where I want the art community to go, and be able to actually help to uplift people, because there are some really uplifting people out there, that do make art, and I'll kind of shout them out a little bit. Like there's one, his name's Adam Duff, that I follow, also known as Lucid Pixels. I watch a lot of his videos when I'm drawing and stuff on my own. But yeah, he's one person that tends to try to uplift people, and tries to give, of course, his thoughts, kind of like I am here while he's drawing. He'll show a drawing, and he does more creature creation and things like that. But definitely an awesome artist, and he has all the other things going for him. But he also has, like, from what he says in his videos, kids and everything that are creative, and his mom was also a computer scientist, and or he she was a computer science major at least, and she wanted to do art, and she also did more traditional art. But yeah, I'm kind of butchering his story, so I'll kind of let you go check him out. Let you go check out his stuff to let him tell his story. I don't want to butcher his upbringing and his story, that the way he wants to tell it. But yeah, so, and then there's also other artists that I follow. I tend to try to only follow people who are trying to uplift other people, or at least artists that try to uplift other people. That's kind of what I'm all about. But yeah, there's also, like, let's see, going on my Instagram real quick, Scott Christian. So Scott Christian, he's somebody I talked about before in some of my other videos, but the reason why I talk about him so much, or at least these last couple of videos, is that he's just an uplifting dude. Like he's very much about, sharing his own personal feelings and thoughts, and he reminds me a lot of myself in terms of like being a hobbit. He calls himself a hobbit. So, which I think I am too, where I like to just stay to myself, be in my own little hobbit hole, and not come out too much too often. But yeah, he's somebody that I also like to follow. And even like going back, like Bob Ross, like one of my favorite, you know, people that I can think of. I believe he was on PBS, Unfortunately, PBS is going away because of the current administration here in the United States. And if you're not from the US, what PBS was, it was public access television, pretty much is what it was. So it was just publicly available. It was one of the like channels you can get even if you didn't have money and you didn't have like a cable package. And like me, you kind of grew up in a lower middle class family, so we had an antenna. So what we would do is that we would put the antenna on this old TV, and with that antenna, we can get, a few different channels. And one of the channels was PBS Kids or PBS. And one of the things I would watch was Bob Ross. And at that time, I wasn't really interested in making art per se, but I was just interested in seeing people make art. So with him, I would just watch it, and I wouldn't really even draw along or anything. I would just listen to him because he has such a calming nature to him. And yeah, I would just watch for hours on end. And then after that would come on like my cartoon shows and all that. And especially in the morning before I went to school for the day, or even after I came back from school, at like 3 o'clock, 3 p.m., I would just watch PBS pretty much. PBS Kids, PBS, all that. But yeah, so our community in general, I think, is a positive community overall. It's just that I know that negativity tends to rise when it comes, or it tends to stand out more because people don't want to hear good news all the time. They want to hear about drama. They want to hear about things that are negative, and it's in our nature. I love watching drama channels. It's something that I'm trying to get away from for sure, but I still do occasionally like tune into them. And once I come back to the realization that I am watching a drama channel or something, then I'll be like, okay, I need to stop, you know, with all this drama. Because why is it? This is something that I ask myself all the time, and I can't answer it as of yet. I guess I kind of can answer it, but I still do it anyway. But the question is, why is it that I'm so drawn to drama? Like to things that have nothing to really do with me as a person. Why am I so interested in critiquing and trying to, get all this information about other human beings that have nothing to do with me, that I probably will never meet in my life, you know? And somehow I'm still wanting to learn all this stuff about them. They don't know who I am. I don't really know who they are. But for some reason, I still want to learn this information. Like it's somehow going to benefit me in my life, in my, you know, creative process or whatever I'm trying to get accomplished in my life. Because it's not gonna help anything. Because Denzel Washington, one of my favorite actors, somebody else I talk about a lot. he uh he had a great saying, and he said, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you do watch the news, you're misinformed. So what is it that you do? Like what do you do in terms of getting information and trying to learn things? And granted, drama is not really news per se. Drama is more just learning about somebody or a situation or whatever. But this can apply to news, just learning news in general. When you're reading the news about, like I said, the current administration that's going on in the United States of America, and you see all the things that he's doing, you're like, it's like, okay, I've learned this information, but then a lot of times there's these news outlets, and they're very skewed towards one side, of very right leaning or left leaning, very liberal or conservative. There's no like in between when it comes to the news. There's no just reporting what the facts are. It's all about opinion pieces and all that stuff, which is, don't get me wrong, that's kind of what this is. This is an opinion coming about opinions, which is ironic and very much a, you know, paradox, very paradoxical. But it's funny because I'm trying to spread, a good message, but I'm doing it in a way that I don't necessarily agree with, if that makes sense. And yeah, so yeah, it's just something that I think about when it comes to art and the art community and all the things that surround the art community. It's an unfortunate thing where we have to like give in order to be engaging for our art and all that. We have to like give this very I'm trying to think of the word here, so I was kind of slowing down my speech, but like this very contrived type of uh type of response when it comes to drama. Because I forget, I think I talked about this in my previous video, but I forget what the name is of the channel that I followed, or not really followed, but just watched, is what I did. And all they do is commentate on art and the drama surrounding art and what's kind of going on in the art community. And when I say what's going on, like updates about the art community, all of this is just drama, drama. And there's nothing out there to, well, okay. There's not nothing out there. Like I said, there are a lot of great creators out there that are trying to uplift people and trying to just spread a message of art and loving and empathy and all the great stuff that I also try to implement in my life, and also I try to spread to other people in my life. But but yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on the art community in general. Another thing I wanted to touch on while I was drawing this piece that you're seeing me draw. Again, I don't know who the character is. I don't know. I think they're from Street Fighter, I believe. It reminds me of Street. I've only played Street Fighter a couple of times in my life, so don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure it's from a character from Street Fighter. But yeah, but another thing I wanted to talk about while I was coloring this and getting everything sorted out is I wanted to talk about patience and me kind of losing patience while I'm drawing and trying to rush my process that I'm doing, like my art process, and not just my art process, but just trying to rush um what's the word? Progression. I'm trying to rush into being better is what I'm trying to do. And I'm starting to realize that it's actually not helping my growth. It's actually hurting my growth. And I'm like, okay. So with this art piece, I try to, if you see kind of where I'm going with it on the screen, is that you'll start seeing me kind of color in a little more than I normally would, because I try to slow down a little bit. I try to be more patient with myself, and I try to make it as best as I can in my own art style. I try not to copy people when it comes to my art. I do use references, as you can see on the screen, but I try not to copy people, and I try to make it where if I am using something as a reference, then I'm still making it my own, and I'm still trying to do something that's unique to me and something that I like. So I've had to learn to, while I was doing this piece, ironically, like in the last like 10, 15 minutes or so, of me drawing it and coloring it. I was learning in real time kind of how to slow down and just go through the process, and not to try to skip steps and not to try to just get something out, because as a quote unquote content creator, an art content creator, I feel like I have to put something out pretty much every day, when I know I don't. I don't really have to put anything out every day. I'm not gonna just, all of a sudden not have a whole bunch of people unfollow me or just not be interested, all because I'm not putting something out that day. But I think that with me, because I'm trying to find a balance of putting things out, in a timely manner and putting things out when I want, but also putting things out consistently. Because a lot of this, with anything, doesn't matter what it is that you do, whether working out, getting in shape, wanting to do art, um, if you want to be like a photographer, whatever artistic or creative thing you want to do in your life, you have to be consistent with it. And for me, I'm consistent. I just don't always post, but I feel like I always have to post, if that makes sense. But yeah, but I'm still learning that balance. So maybe in the future, I'll give it kind of an update about what I've figured out. But I think in terms of long form videos, I think I'm only going to do maybe one a week for YouTube and maybe do a couple of shorts here and there. And on my Instagram, I'll maybe do like two reels a week, 2 or 3 reels a week. And then I'll take a little bit of a break and then rinse and repeat. I just don't know when I'm going to put videos out on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it's going to be maybe Monday is when I'll do it. Maybe Monday. Yeah, maybe Monday, I think, is when I'll put out the long form video. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But this one's going to go up today. So there's going to be 2 videos this week, 2 long form videos this week. And then next week, I'll start doing the whole once a week type of thing. But yeah, I will talk to y'all in the next one, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And you can see the finished piece here, or I might post it on Instagram. We'll see. But talk to y'all next time.